Welcome to Modern Goddess. Here we discuss everything mastering your mindset, wellness wisdom, upgrading your relationships so that you can unleash your divine goddess essence and live your authentic best self every single day. I'm your host, Cassie Aurora. Oh, hi guys. Welcome back. It's been a really interesting time for me, for sure. What have I been doing? Okay, right. Oh gosh. I don't know how many details to give you. I've been transforming big time this week. I had a massive energetic shift. It's been a really cathartic week. I'm not going to share all my personal splurge with you, but feel free to reach out if you want to talk about big energy shifts, because we're always having them. It doesn't matter how evolved we are. We've been getting a lot of new energetic integrations on a soul level, energetically. If you've been feeling all sorts of energetic shit the last week, you are not the only one. Everyone is going through a boot camp at the moment for their soul, and it's real. But the thing is, nothing's happening to you. It's always happening for you, am I right? And so I just want to reach out to you and say that if you've struggled, let me know. Send me a DM. I would love to hear from you, because at the end of the day, we're all in this life together. We're all human. We're all going through this spiritual journey. And if it helps you to reach out and connect with someone else that gets it, that you can say, I feel like I just want to be a bitch to my husband today, or I feel like I want to strangle my kids today. There's no shame in that. It's just a feeling, right? And sometimes you just need to talk it out. So feel free to DM me any of your thoughts, any of your reflections. It's been a very interesting time for sure. And, we all need to support one another. That's why we've incarnated at this time. We are literally each other, So I don't want to go too much down that path. I had a really fun weekend. We played loads of games. We did this whole lockdown games tournament. I never win anything sporty, but this time it was all about the brain. And guys, I won every single game. So just going to put that out there that I'm celebrating that. My Aries moon was very happy. But I'm getting knuckled down deep into some readings. Oh my gosh, have I got some readings to get through this week for you guys, because some of you know I was a little bit unwell. I had to withdraw my energy and learn when to say no. Remember, it's okay to rest, but it's not okay for me to have to put a few of your readings back just by a few days. But thanks so much to everyone that was cool about that. I really want to just thank you for creating that space for me, because I'm constantly trying to give and give and give to you guys, and there's only so much limited energy I have. And I'm just like you, I get tired. So thanks for understanding. As you know, I've opened up my one-to-one coaching spaces, and I've actually filled up quite a few of them. I only have a few left now. So if you want to work with me one-to-one and you're thinking, do you know what? I want a coach, a mentor who really wants to understand me, and I really want to up-level now. I'm ready to step out of where I've been for the last, 20, 30 years. I actually am really fed up now. And if you feel like your life is literally slipping through your fingers because you're stuck in the same limiting beliefs that you have the last, 20 years, then I can help you. I can help support you through that. I can help you actually integrate and transform those beliefs, because, my darling, you fucking deserve more. We all deserve more. And you'll hear me and Mollie talk a lot in this episode. Our energetics literally bring the kind of life that we're going to get. If our energy is constantly in a place of limitation, low self-worth, it's preoccupied and eating disorders, what we don't have, it's still trapped because there's trauma from the past. There's nothing wrong with you. it's not that you've done anything wrong. It's simply that you haven't integrated or healed those parts of you yet. And one of the biggest mistakes we can make, I think, if we've got quite a backlog of trauma and difficulty, is thinking that we can do it alone. And it's not because we can't do it alone. Like, you absolutely can do this on your own. I know, I'm confident you can do this stuff on your own and heal and integrate and up level. But it's that it takes you way longer and it literally costs you way more money. How many books, I mean, have you read? God, I know I did this. And you've just like read them and really, it was nice, but nothing really changed in your being. You're not here for that. You're here to up level. So don't let your life slip through your fingers. Let yourself start to shine, start to be your biggest hero. That's ultimately the biggest thing you can do. And when you invest in a mentor or a coach that wants to really support you to get there, it's some of the best money you can spend. So the coaching I offer, it's pretty invaluable. I'm going to share some testimonials very soon with you. I'm actually going to get one of my clients on the podcast very soon. So you can see for yourself, like, the work we do in that one-to-one space, it's about you. It's about bringing you into your greatest authenticity and power. So anyway, if you're interested in that, please directly message me, email me, because I don't have many spots left and I want you to get one of them. And I can't promise that I'll open them up then for another few months because my diary can't stretch to that at this time. So, my loves, let's get on to today's guest. Today's guest is Mollie. And I know her, she's on my business networking group with Christina. We actually start off talking about our Reiki sessions that we had from Christina, which was really fun. And she's a breathwork healer. So she does a lot of similar work to me, but you just might feel more comfortable and her energy might feel really great to you. She specializes really in the breathwork. And she also has a background in health coaching. She's just a wonderful, wonderful human being, and her energy is so gorgeous. She's a manifester. She's a very powerful human. So the opposite to me, but generally I get on way better with manifestors and projectors. Actually, no, I get on with everyone. That's a lie. I take that back. But yeah, I want you to, we're actually doing a giveaway this week where you can win $1,000 worth of wellness goodies. I'm giving a free astrology reading in that, so head to my profile if you want $1,000 worth of free wellness stuff. We're doing a huge giveaway between all 8 of us, and it's really good stuff. So Mollie's services are actually in there. You could get free breath work with her, and that's worth quite a bit. So guys, if you want to get in on that, go to my Instagram profile. You know where to find it. It's in the show notes. Give us all a follow, comment, and yeah, let's, see who wins $1,000 worth of wellness goodies. I know I could have done with that. I wasted so much time. If I'd have had these things way sooner, I would have got where I wanted to get sooner. So you can actually find Mollie in that giveaway. Give her a like, give her a follow. She is gorgeous. I absolutely love her energy. She's a force for good in this world. I am beyond honoured that she came on the podcast. I really feel that who you follow, who you take information from, really does affect your energy. So if you're following loads of people with bikinis on, taking perfect Instagram curated pictures, or loads of eating disorder promoting kind of stuff, like people that trigger you to make you feel like you're not good enough, unfollow them and follow someone like Mollie. Not that I'm telling you what to do. So without further ado, let's welcome the gorgeous Mollie onto the podcast.
She said, I have a past life where I was like homeless and literally on the streets and like hated rich people and like just was really resentful towards people with money. And like it just all fell into place for me. I was like, oh my God, like that makes so much sense, because that's why I'm blocking myself from abundance, because I learned in that life that I shouldn't receive, that I don't deserve to receive. And so I'm like in the middle of this like huge shift with my consciousness, and just like peeling back the layers of like what's blocking me from abundance, you know?
And that's the thing, like I think when you get into the business coaching, you can't, like the program that we're in with Christina, like you can't hide from any energetic blockages, because entrepreneurship, when it's about yourself, it will literally bring it all up. It's the same as a relationship, like, and any blockages you have, like I notice all of mine, they all stem around our in being in the feminine, to like receive. And where it doesn't even sometimes, like it helps to know where it's come from, but it always I find like a lot of women, there's a huge blockage, like me included at times. So
Yeah.
I can be 5 days like, yeah, it's fine, and then I can have one day where something shifts. I don't know what it is, and I'm like, oh, I feel really unworthy, and it will flip, and I have to really work on that, I have to really shepherd it.
Yeah. That is such a good point. Like it is like a relationship in that way. And I can relate. Like I still have days where I'm like I can tell like, but it's so subconscious. Like
Yeah,
those thoughts will just creep in and they'll start to build up, and you're like all of a sudden you're like, I feel like a piece of shit. Like what the fuck? How have I been talking to myself all day? You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, like I think now I feel it days before it's coming. Like I can feel it in my cells, and
Wow.
then in my dreams, like my dreams start first, and I say, oh, okay, we're about to process something, and then I'll go through it. And I really need to slow down when that happens. Like, even before our podcast today, I was like, I do feel like my soul wants to do the podcast, but my body was like, oh, I have no energy. But I was like, I feel like this is the most I can give. And I was like, I think this is going to lift me up, because I know in this space, like me and you, I don't have to hide that, actually I'm going through these emotions, but you're not going to be like, oh, well, let me try and alter that or change it or help you. You're going to be like, yeah, I hear you. Like that's all you need. But people
Yeah.
around, they always want to try and fix, and it's quite hard to find those people that can just understand and like appreciate and just be like, yeah, that's okay, like.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like we are kind of at the same level, and people do try to fix. And yeah, I mean, sometimes we don't need to fix, we just need to be.
This is literally what my podcast said today.
Really?
Yeah. I was talking about like how butterflies, butterflies, they fly around, but there's the point where they're not a caterpillar, they're in the chrysalis, and like you think nothing is happening, it just looks like a cocoon, like
Yeah.
they're just butterfly soup. And we need to be butterfly soup now. The universe is saying now is time to be soup.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? But we don't
I
question
do.
nature. We don't
What?
question nature, do we? We just leave
Yeah.
nature to be, and we don't question it. But when it comes to ourselves, we're like, I'm not being productive. I'm not doing, therefore this is wasted time. No.
Yep. It's so true. And I've been going through that, like literally that thought process. I mean, not about the caterpillars, but but like just feeling like, oh, I'm not being productive. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. And then being like, nope. Like I'm not going to say that to myself. I'm not going to be that way with myself, because I know, like literally I pulled a card. This is the card I pulled. It's about receiving.
Oh my God.
And I pulled it on, okay, so I last week the card was like about softness and like letting myself be in my feminine, and I was like, I was like kind of mad. I was like, dang it, like I really just want to like go hard with my business. And then this week was approaching, and then I pulled that card and I was like, okay, now you're like doubling down on me and you're telling me that I really need to rest and I really need to be soft. And so I'm just trying to follow that as much as I can, but I'm also like, I want to go straight from being a caterpillar to a butterfly.
Yeah, well, that's okay too. Sometimes it's a bit, but you'll notice that your wings maybe won't be as strong, right? As if they'd had to, you know,
Right.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes there is a time to be in that for sure and time to rest. But it's all about, like, again, if we don't create the space to listen, how are we going to know what the right choice is? There's nothing we can ultimately tell anyone, not even our clients, ourselves, unless it's like literally listen to yourself. But the skills to do that are the hard part. So anyway, I started recording because I was like, this conversation is interesting. So do you want to introduce yourself and
Yeah.
tell my listeners who you are, what you do, and well, I'm so grateful you came on, but they might not know you, so now's the chance.
Yeah, so my name is Mollie Lowery. I am a holistic health coach and I specialize in mental health. And I actually have been working in the mental health field for off and on for about 5 years. And I started out wanting to be a therapist, and then I started going through my own holistic healing journey and learning about all of the other factors that contribute to mental health. And then I also started working at some psychiatric facilities that had a very conventional Western medicine approach to mental health. And I just saw how I was working with adolescents specifically, and it was just so sad. Like, the system was completely failing them, it was not helping them heal at all. And so those experiences really just plummeted me into the world of holistic health and this search to find out not only how I can help myself heal at the root level naturally, but to help others heal in that way as well. So that's what I'm doing now. I went to school for holistic nutrition through Bowman College. It's here in California, and it was amazing. I also am a breathwork healer, which I absolutely love. It's very energetic, very spiritual work, and it really goes hand in hand with the mental health coaching because I mean, the way that I understand everything, and I know we'll get into this, but I just understand everything from an energetic perspective. So yeah, I have like a whole coaching process that I take my clients through to help them address their mental health from that holistic perspective. So we're looking at nutrition, we're looking at sleep, relationships, any kind of like lifestyle factor, um, exposure to nature. We're looking at it all and how it nourishes us. And then we're also healing the body and restoring cognitive function and restoring the nervous system and healing trauma and, all that good stuff. So that's what I do. And I absolutely love it. And yeah, I'm excited to talk more about energy.
I love it too. Like, I I really like that you were in the kind of mental health field, and because I had this same experience. I was like, the system is flawed, and it's really like it's not helping. So I want
Mhm.
to talk about like your experience specifically. Why did you feel like mental health had to be what you needed to move into, like holistically, especially? So, can you talk me through what led you to that decision to think, yeah, I need to do mental health? This is what I'm here to do.
I mean, honestly, since I was a teenager, I was studying psychology in high school and just have always been intrigued with the mind. I personally experienced depression from since I can remember, from the age of like 4 or 5. Um, and I had a lot of like family stuff going on. And then my mom's an alcoholic. And so she had a lot of mental stuff going on. And so by the time I was a teenager, I was just so intrigued with mental health. I also got like sent away for a year when I was a teenager and, you know, started some really intensive therapy just because I was like kind of a bad, rebellious kid. But it really got me kind of, it planted that seed with, you know, therapy and bettering myself. And it just kind of, it just kind of perpetuated from then on. The more I got into psychology, the more interested I was in the mind. And then I started studying psychology at UC Davis. And it was good info, but I learned more about like, you know, the neurology of the brain and um, taught different kinds of psychotherapies and the different medications that go with different groups of diagnoses. And I just needed more, you know. I was like this, like I was going to become a therapist, and my goal was to just sit there and talk with people, and to help them like figure out what areas of their life they can improve, whether it's relationships or whatever. But then I was like I was saying, I as soon as I graduated college, I started going through my own healing journey and realizing, like, the first thing I realized was like, holy shit, like nutrition has such a big impact on my mental health. And I always kind of knew that. I knew that food impacted my mood, but when I started like getting into functional medicine and doing an elimination diet and just like experimenting with different kinds of diets, I realized like it is so key. And then from there, it just kind of like kept going deeper and deeper. So it was like nutrition, and then I started using supplements, and then I basically just started nerding out super hard about how to biohack my brain and biohack my body into being the healthiest and happiest and most peaceful state of being that I could achieve. And obviously, you know, it's not perfect because we're humans, and we like negative emotions are 100% natural, and we absolutely have to release and acknowledge and move through negative emotions. But yeah, I think there's so many people in this world that are struggling with some sort of imbalance, whether it's, you know, a neurotransmitter imbalance, or you just have inflammation in your brain, or maybe your nervous system is wired to make you think that you have to be fearful about everything because you've experienced trauma. And then, you know, on an even deeper level, there's like the spiritual aspect of it. And like, are you aligned with your soul? And how are you dealing with your energy? Are there energy blocks happening? And, you know, do we need to clear these out? So yeah, I mean, I like I was saying, I was in and out of mental health, so I started with it, and then I got so into like holistic nutrition and stuff that I just started doing general health coaching, and just to help people heal from chronic illness or whatever, like digestive issues. Um, and then recently went back to mental health because I've just always been so infatuated with the mind and how it works. And um, I started getting really into brain rewiring, even, which is like reshaping your neural networks, and how much that influences not only your mental health and your physical health, but just the way that your energy manifests through your entire life. Did
Mm.
that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, thanks. There was so much there intrigued about. And the thing is, you are so right. Like any kind of health coaching, I think now more than ever, from 2020 onward, if we're going to be health coaches, because, you know, that's my background is fitness, health coaching, yoga, breath work, you know, you you can focus on just one element, but I really feel like you need the nutrition, you need the movement, You need the energetics, you need the mindset, and the supplementation often these days, because it's like in the melting pot of health, you just can't have one thing, I don't think anymore. And I really do think that the advantage that people like you and I have got when we're working with clients is that we can pull from all of these areas to create this synergistic approach. And I just think that's incredible that you are able to offer that as well. Like, because you know what? It is out there. I've seen a holistic nutritionist, but it's few and far between. And then,
Yeah.
you know, I have lots of questions, but something I'm really intrigued in is you talked about your childhood and you were like a rebel and your mum and your relationship with her.
Hmm.
I'm intrigued. How do you feel that plays out now, that relationship with your mum?
Hmm.
Um, kind of what were the effects of that relationship on you being able to be looked after? Because like I had an alcoholic mother, right? So you're a kid, but you were not really a kid.
Yeah.
You are forced into independence
Yeah.
at a very young age. And I developed like a fragment of myself, which a lot of women have, I think, in different ways. But anyone who's had parents that were somewhat negligent, and I've
Hmm.
got a few listeners I'm thinking of that I know have had this or suffered abuse in childhood, they've kind of got like this independent, like, I can do it all on my own streak
Yeah.
that's mixed in with the inner child that's screaming out for help. And
Hmm.
they're often like in two polar opposites.
Yep.
And I'm intrigued to see how that has played out for you and how you've reconciled that in your own life to really help you be in a position of peace.
Hmm. Yeah. 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 What you said, everything you just said, so spot on. And I mean, to be honest, it's something that I'm still working on and I will be working on. But I went to therapy for literally 10 years and it was mostly about like what was my relationship with my mom and how has that affected my current life. And I mean, yeah, I mean, you're so right. There really is that polarity of the inner child that is screaming for help and screaming to be taken care of and to be comforted. And then there's that rebellious kind of questioning authority, like because when I was super young, like from the age of 5, like I understood that there was something going on with my mom and she couldn't fully take care of herself, and I was trying to be the parent throughout my childhood, and I would literally follow her around the house to make sure she wasn't drinking, go into her closet and like find her booze and pour it out. Every time when she drank, I would call my dad and like tell on her, and I was just constantly like I was fully in that parental role as a child, and that has absolutely like created this trauma that makes me feel like it's not safe. And but the thing about trauma is like if we don't heal it, it will continue to repeat itself.
Yeah.
So and so I mean, okay, there's so much I have to say about this, but like so in my relationships, for example, I have always been attracted to alcoholics or just people with addiction issues that
Yeah.
need help. And like even my current relationship, which is honestly like a really amazing, loving relationship, but there is still this like dynamic of you're you have these addictive tendencies and I need to control them in order to survive, in order to be taken care of. Because as a child, if our primary caregiver is not able to be there and take care of us, then we learn that that's a threat, and that in order to survive, we have to actually take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously, and then energetically, that instills the belief in us that we don't deserve to be taken care of. We don't deserve to be loved. The only way that we can love is if we are, or the only way that we can be loved and taken care of is if we're taking care of and loving someone else first. And so I have put so much work, years of work into reshaping that dynamic and that belief about myself and about the world. And for a long time, until I was about 21 years old, I I was that rebellious teenager, and then I actually got sober from the age of 15 to 21, completely sober, and was very in that adult independent role. I was very responsible. I worked and went to school constantly, and I mean, I still would let myself like rest and stuff, but for the most part I was very type A, very just go go go. Um and then I just hit a point when I was like 22-ish, 21, 22, and I was like, you know what? I think it's time to be a child now. And I don't honestly know where it came from. I just had like these big life shifts. I decided to not be sober anymore. I decided to break up with my boyfriend of 4.5 years. And I just broke free of all of these kind of limiting beliefs that I had on myself about I can never have a balanced relationship with alcohol, or like cannabis or whatever drugs. And I can never be worthy if I'm not responsible and if I'm not showing up as an adult and my most mature self. And I just broke free of all of it. And I just honestly, I went back into like my childlike state, but I went like too far, and I went back into the rebellion for like about a year and a half. And it was great. Honestly, I just let myself be selfish. I let myself be a child, but the trauma was still not healed fully. And the rebellious turned into like self-sabotaging. And I mean, it was all lessons being learned, and I was pretty conscious of it through the whole thing, through the whole time. But then yeah, I just started getting sick with digestive issues. My depression and anxiety were at its worst. And I mean, hormone imbalance, like like you name it, whatever kind of illness. And I'm a firm believer that if we don't address the stored energetic blocks or negative emotions in us, then it will manifest into physical form. And so what was happening is I had never released, like I had talked about it in therapy for years, but I had never actually released and processed what had happened fully. And so yeah, it just kind of turned on me, and I was still, like I said, self-sabotaging and just not loving myself fully. And so I just started to heal, and I was like, you know what? I'm sick and I got to take responsibility for this. So now I'm healing. And so I like got sober again for another year or two ish. And I mean, ever since then, I've just been slowly healing and developing a more healthy relationship with alcohol and anything else that I would use as an addiction, relationships, food, exercise, being controlling with exercising, and like how my body looks, whatever you want to, like I have a very addictive personality, but I have learned to be balanced with things and to love that side of myself. And there was this theme like that I was going through a couple years ago, I remember, where I started to embrace the dualistic, because I'm a Gemini.
Yeah.
So I started just being like I have two sides of me. Actually, I have like so many different sides of me, but I just started embracing that dualistic energy and just being like, I can be a child and I can be an adult.
Yeah.
You know, I can be rebellious and want to party, and I can be a health coach who is like, who like, takes care of herself and is like the health police half the time. And so, yeah, like over the years, I definitely it like that trauma and that relationship with my mother has for sure played out in so many areas of my life. And I mean, I could go on and on about it, but yeah, I mean, it is so powerful, the experiences that we have when we're children. And at this point, my relationship with my mom is really good and we're building things back up. I actually didn't talk to her for like 4 years because I was like, nope, like I need to heal. I just like couldn't be around her because it was too triggering. But it was also this really powerful act of like stepping into my power and being like, I'm not gonna let you suck the energy out of me, because so much of it was like emotional caregiving, you know what I mean? And so the entire process has really taught me like we have to take care of ourselves. Nobody is gonna do it for us. We have to take full ownership and responsibility for our mental health and just our overall health and our well-being, and we have to step into our power and heal ourselves.
Yeah, and like what everything you shared, and like wow, like we have so many parallels, and not everyone has like 20,000 different personalities. Everyone, like it's the process of fragmentation, and that's fine, like, but it's allowing ourselves to and having the humility to literally be like, I can be anything. And
Mhm.
you know what, well done for you for saying, because I think that's the tipping point in anyone's healing journey is, I'm aware, but am I going to take responsibility that I keep fucking doing the same shit? Like, that
Yeah.
is when you really mature. And I do think, like, that's when you say, okay, now I'm healing. Because everything before that is, a bit of a blur. But when it comes to complex trauma, or complex PTSD, which to me is, what I would like your experience because you're in a prolonged traumatic situation.
Mhm.
When it comes to mental health, like we have to take responsibility. You are so right.
Mhm.
Because yeah, no one else is going to do it. But that's not us saying, yeah, take responsibility, you can do it all on your own. It's like, no, sincerely, you have to be your advocate. Like,
Mhm.
and find someone who can give you the tools. I've
Mhm.
invested thousands in therapy. Like, I dread to think how much I've spent, but it's changed my life. Do you know what I mean? So you're right. I'm
Yeah.
intrigued. I'm interested. So what what tools did you use to, because you said the energetics and stored energy needs to move somewhere. Now I know this to be true 100%. So this rash here,
Mhm.
this rash, like, there's two reasons it's there usually, but this is normally when I need to express a trauma. It
Mhm.
rises up, and it's always male related. It's always related to my dad.
Mhm.
um for me, my tools and the ones I share: trauma release, my
Mhm.
shaking medicine, of course, Reiki, screaming into a pillow, um,
Mhm.
EFT, my tapping. A lot of time it's somatic, like breath work. So
Mhm.
I'm just intrigued. What was it for you in your journey that were the cornerstones and the practices that helped you release that stored energy that was basically your demise until you shifted it?
Yeah. I mean, so it started with meditation, and I got into meditation when I was 17, but it was basic mindset stuff. And it was a part of just like my whole sobriety journey. Um, and then I just started getting more and more into it. I mean, it was off and on. And then when I started going through this current healing journey, I started getting just super into meditation, specifically channeling light energy into my body. And honestly, I did it at first kind of subconsciously, but I just remember like meditating and just feeling so good, and just feeling like this light or this energy was like flooding into my body. And I did a lot of guided meditations which tell you to open up your crown chakra and channel, white light or whatever it is into your body. And so I would always just do that and just be like, oh yeah, it's just like imaginary or whatever, when I was younger. But then the more I did it, the more I was like, wait, there's actually energy coming into my body.
Yeah.
Like, I can feel this. This is not me imagining things. And then slowly just started learning more about the chakras, started learning more about energy healing and Reiki. And I did get some Reiki stuff done, like some energy healing sessions. Um, and was mostly just working on my own stuff, just like every day, meditating and channeling light energy into my body. I started focusing on the energy of love. That was really healing, because during my healing journey, I was very isolated and I felt very alone. And I thought that I was very victimy. I was in a big victim mindset, and I just felt like nobody cared about me. And then I just started channeling the frequency of love, and it completely changed everything for me. I stopped feeling alone. I started attracting in more friendships and just people and just love from the outside of me. And I started realizing more and more that the energy that I hold in my body and the frequency that I am channeling from within my being is what is going to be reflected in my whole life. It
Hmm.
really does have these ripple effects throughout your whole life. And so um, then I found out about breathwork. It's which is for releasing and removing blocks. I I went to a friend's breathwork session, and she did this 3-part pranayama breathwork, which is what I do, and it's just a really intense experience, and it's very subconscious. You'll just kind of start crying or releasing emotion, knowing what exactly is going on. And I was like, I'm like so into the subconscious and just
Yeah.
like under the surface, you know what I mean? And so much of that is involved with our energy. And so I just started slowly like cracking the code. And so the tools, the main ones were like breath work and meditation. And then, like I said, I did see a therapist, like a talk therapist for 10 years. And she helped me see how nothing about that was really energetic, but she did help me see how my dynamics with my mother would play out into all my current relationships in my current life. And so I think that I just kind of started understanding that as energy as well, and just shifting those beliefs and shifting those dynamics. Um, so I think that those were my main tools, along with obviously nutrition, because food is one of the main ways that we feed our body energy. And so, I stopped partying in college and started eating healthy food, and just realizing like there's so many different ways that we feed our body's energy.
Hmm.
And nature was actually a really big one too. I have
Yeah.
such an intimate relationship with nature, and it's so powerful for cleansing our energy or raising our frequency. And I mean, I just have to get into nature like every single day, otherwise I go insane.
Yeah.
And
Same. Same.
I even actually, the before I lived here in my current apartment, I've lived here for about a couple months, but before that, me and my fiance were just camping and traveling and living out in nature. And that had a huge that played a huge role in my healing journey as well. It was like a nature cleanse.
Oh gosh,
And
yeah.
so yeah, those have been my main tools. Yeah, you can relate with the nature.
Yeah, all of them, all of the tools, because like I do a lot of Kundalini. I use breath work because in my mindfulness teacher training, we learn all about, using your breath as like it's a shortcut, into the subconscious. There's
Mhm.
so much there that I'm like, yeah, they're all my things. So if someone's listening and they're like, I don't do that, I should try it. I'm like, do it. But nature, like me and my partner went away to like the mountains in Spain, like I don't know, 2 months ago,
Yeah.
and the minute I get near the city, I can feel my body, it's like not happy. I can
Mhm.
feel that anxiety rising. So for me it's
Yeah.
huge, and I'm totally with you. We are essentially part of nature, and the minute we start to
Yeah.
remove ourselves from it, there's gonna be a payoff, you know isn't
I'm a big believer that like I mean, just if you think about the way that humans were evolved to live, we
yeah,
were literally evolved like our genes and the way that our bodies were designed were evolved to be outside 24/7 connected
yeah,
with nature, like dirt in our food, dirt in our beds, like you know what I mean, like we are supposed to be, and at this point we are not adapted for that. Like the lives that we live are so soft and so comfortable, and I learned that, like, it was a big lesson that I learned when I was camping for months because it was like freezing in the morning. I would wake up and it'd be 30 degrees. And eventually I was like, this is too much. Like, I gotta go. I gotta go live in an apartment now. But like, at the same time, my energy was so pure. And I have the same feeling like when I get close to a city or whatever, like I get anxiety and my energy just feels like too much. It just feels overwhelmed. And
mm,
even actually, this is interesting. Like I went to LA. It was like before the whole coronavirus thing happened. It was, I don't know, maybe like a month ago. And I went to hang out with some friends for their birthdays, and I mean, LA is like insane. Like the amount of energy that's there is just wild, and I had a good time, but when I got home that night I had the most intense energy purge.
yeah,
Like it was like involuntary. It almost felt like an anxiety attack, but I wasn't anxious and I wasn't
yeah.
freaking out. My body was just like purging energy.
Mm.
And yeah, it's really so powerful. I mean, nature has been such a huge factor in my healing journey.
I love that. I love that. And it's like, it's funny you said that energy purge and stuff, but I think the thing that we have to take away as, quote unquote spiritual people is it's not about retreating completely, because at the end of the day, the most spiritual act we can do is to integrate it back into the current state of society to help us expand consciousness, and what we're experiencing now, we're so far from nature. There needs to
Mhm,
be a swing back, but like
mhm.
ultimately for me, I think commune living would suit me. But again, we have
Yeah,
that will look different. That will look different now. Like we can't just we need to bring these tools into the mainstream because everyone needs it. And if everyone quote unquote spiritual was to go out and work on their energy but never come back, we're gonna divide and we need to integrate. So
so true.
before we finish, I would love to know also when you said about the energy purge. Okay, this is what's triggered it. I would love to know, and it might not have even affected you. Um, have you noticed any energetic difference now that 5G has been ramped up? Is it by you?
I mean, this kind of goes with what you were just saying about we can't just retreat and stay there.
No.
Because the way that I understand energy is like if our energy is off and out of balance and broken, yeah, we might need to go retreat and put ourselves in a little safety bubble and heal ourselves and get out of all that chaos. But ultimately our goal is to be able to channel energy from within our beings
Yeah.
so strong that none of the energy around us affects us, even 5G. And so, I mean, I am so sensitive to EMFs
Me too.
and just technology, like in general. Like, I'm so sensitive, and I turn my Wi-Fi off at night. I make a point of not being around it as much as possible. And I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I've felt the 5G honestly, but I've also been doing so much work to protect my energy ever since um, we've been on lockdown, on quarantine, and people have
Yeah.
been freaking out. I've felt such an intense amount of anxious energy from the collective. And so I've just been putting a lot of work into cleansing that and protecting myself. So I definitely for sure think 5G is horrible, and I think it's going to have a lot of really bad impacts on people's health and just on the collective energy in general. But I do think that, yeah, I mean, I wish the world like knew. I wish the world was more conscious of that kind of stuff, and we were more protective of our energy. And that's the thing about energy, is like we can't see it, and so a lot of people are not tuned into it, and we just don't understand it, and so we're not studying it. But I mean, everything is energy, everything is frequency, vibration, and it's for sure affecting us.
Yeah. And you know what's so funny? You're so like me. Your cop out is, well, it's all energy. So we've just got to choose what energy. But it's true. It feels like a
Yeah.
cop out every time we say, just go within, and it's all energy, because it literally is. And that's it.
Hmm.
Like, but if
Yep.
it's that simple, it wouldn't have taken us freaking what, 20 odd years to realize it. So yeah, it's one of those. So Molly, people I know are they're just gonna love you, and I know they'll want to connect with you. So can you tell them how they can do that and where they can find you? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So my website is actually under construction right now, but it will be up soon. So that will be on my Instagram. So the main place to find me right now is just my Instagram. It's just my name, Mollie Lowery. Um, and you can always DM me or reach out to me if you have any questions. Like I said, my two services are breathwork and holistic mental health coaching. And of course, the two of them kind of overlap. But yeah, that's where you can find me. It's just my Instagram for now, and then I'll have my website up soon.
Yeah, and they're going to want to find you guys. Molly has great content on her Instagram. So you need to give her a
Aww.
follow, check it out, and also let her know what you thought of the episode, because I for sure am like, oh my God, we have so many parallels. It's really cool. It's
I
really
know. Honestly, when I first saw you online, I was like, immediately, I was like, I'm gonna like this girl. Like, I could just tell, like, there was something about our energies that were parallel. And yeah, I mean, this was such an awesome conversation, and we should for sure do it again.
Oh yeah, you need to get yourself a podcast. I've decided.
I know. I've thought about it. So many people have said that, but I don't know. I'm either gonna do that or like a video, like YouTube, or I don't know. We'll see.
Oh yes. You just, yeah, do it. I'm excited. I'll be there first one to listen in. Um so thanks for coming on, Molly. I'm gonna stop recording now. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
So thank you so much to Molly for coming in the podcast. Make sure that you give her a like, you let her know how much you love this podcast, because I know about you. She's fucking amazing. I love her. So click to the show notes, give her a follow, let us know what you thought, share the episode. I just cannot wait to hear from you, and please let me know if I can support you in any way. I'm here. Just reach out.